Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. A real exciting pre-recorded show today. We've got another manager on the show, Tom Fitton. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Nice to meet you, John. You well yourself?
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Yeah, buzzing actually, because we've been waiting for this for quite a while. Natalie and Matt's both been saying for quite a few weeks that this could potentially happen over the summer, and obviously you guys have been getting a bit closer in recent weeks, so I'm really grateful for you coming on. It's I hope you were looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like you just said there, it's been a long time in the coming. I've been quite busy, as you can imagine, but I've managed to crowbar a bit of time in for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Matt, and thanks, Nat, for sorting this one out as well. How are you guys doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good, John. Yeah, it's just one I'm buzzing about. I've known Tom quite a while, obviously, and watched him a few times. You know, as a manager in his own right, you know, number one, it's really good. And, you know, just seeing him grow, I suppose, as a person. And, you know, it's just weird. I suppose he's used to me shouting, screaming and geeing players up. And now it's like nice and professional. But no, I'm so grateful, you know, that he's agreed to come on our channel.
No, my pleasure.
So, Tom, just before we start, just a little bit about yourself. So, for anyone who doesn't actually know who you are or know the detail about what you do, just a bit of your background in women's football.
Yeah, so I've been girls and women's elite football for 10 years now. The majority of which, because it's 10 years, we can do percentages quite easy. So 80% of my time at Man United, previous roles, under 16s head coach, under 17s head coach when it was the old Centre of Excellence, and under 21s head coach in its first year, whilst it was still in a non-competitive capacity in the first team being established. I then went to Sheffield United and assisted Carl Ward with the first there. And then last year, due to an injury that was to myself, my spine, I just did a bit of consultancy work for some of the clubs in the Northwest. And now back on my feet and got a new challenge in front of me.
Which we'll talk about halfway through the show onwards, I'm sure, yeah. Nat, just a quick one. Where did you come across Tom then first? Was it Sheffield or where was it?
It was actually the Man United, like Tom said, the under-21. It was a non-competitive capacity, but the 21s had took part in the FA Cup, FA Youth Cup. 21s got all the way to the final. I went down to the final. They played at Loughborough. Unfortunately, we lost to Arsenal, but you know, it was good hearing about how they had got the 21s, and I call them devs. I still call them devs. Yeah. It's not devs anymore. It's WSL Academy, but I still call it devs because that's the first time that I've ever been introduced to that side of football. And yeah, it's a lot different from, say, a men's under 23s or, you know, that kind of thing. There's a lot of young players, some players that have played up and are still there, and some players that have then moved on and playing at championship clubs or gone off to, say, like you know, America and stuff like that, college football, like what Russo did for before us. So, you know, that's where I first met Tom, and then obviously, like he said, he was with Carl Ward. So, you know, watching players develop, they got Nom Hartley, Fran Bentley, and Ebony Salmon in, and I started to go a lot more and watch them then, and then that's when I'm guessing Tom was like, she's that same girl, probably. And yeah, I realised I was sort of hardcore Man United fan.
We had Palms as well that year, didn't we?
Palmer, yeah. You were there then. So yeah, I like to watch, you know, develop, you know, watching young players develop is really important. I think it's really important as well for Man United, and the fact that they're trying to put a lot of young players into the first team, whether that's men or women's football, it's really important. So obviously, you know, it's key in what I suppose Tom's done and is still doing at FC. You know, it's really good to see because there's not a lot of pathways, I suppose, for the girls, and you know, it's seeing it grow in a way now.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about United on this show. We're going to talk about the development of youth. We're going to talk about FC United. But we've just been speaking a little bit about the fans there, and you going that. I mean, Tom, well, just before we start talking about United, what do you think of like the Man United fans since they've joined? Since Man United have joined the WSL?
I think it's electric. They've brought a new element to the women's game, and that's what it's all about. I mean, when I was younger, I went and watched women's football. The only fans that really stood out to me were the Donny Bells lot, and going wild with the bells, and it was a new experience. And I think the biggest thing we've seen since Man United have come on the map, especially in women's football, is that energy from the crowd, and that passion and that desire that you only really in men's football. And I think other clubs are reacting to it and trying to embrace it, and it's a new element to sport, and it's what it needs without a shadow of a doubt.
I think that's it. And like a few of us, fans are discussing now, other clubs are copying us. They might have said things in the past 2 or 3 years, but they're all following suit in some shape or form, which is obviously a good thing, isn't it? So let's talk a little bit about United's journey then since 2018. Obviously, Casey Stoney's now gone, but done a fantastic job in those first 3 years, getting us promoted as champions, straight into 4th place in our first season in the WSL, and then narrowly missing out on Champions League, basically by 1 game last season. What's your thoughts, Tom, on the journey so far?
I think, to be honest, I've played the 2nd and 3rd year. It's been a massive step. I think at the time, obviously, I was internal and I could see what bringing and the energy that was around the project. The first year for me was pretty much a given. I would have been shocked if they hadn't gone up, because Casey, I think, would have put her boots on to they went up. But how they've adapted to the Super League and embraced the challenges, and in such a short turnaround, like 2 seasons, is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was speaking to Matt yesterday about sort of what we've tried to achieve in 4 weeks, and it's nowhere near comparable. Like the success they've had and the resilience they've shown coming up against established clubs. Like, you're not just playing the 11 players in front of you; it's the infrastructure that's behind it, and you think like our that are as established as they are, to be competing with them, and like I say, to be challenging champions with them, it's a massive success without a doubt.
What are your thoughts about like the way that the development team comes through then? So obviously we've seen a few players come through in the last 3 years. What do you think like the strategy's like?
What's the what like?
Just like the strategy, like behind the scenes, like how obviously there's a lot of focus on there because we know United anyway always focus on the youth. Just wondering like what the kind of like the women's team, like how would they focus on the youth team?
Yeah, well, I've been away for a few seasons now, but there's not a single part of me that wouldn't imagine that it wasn't in the DNA that they continued to look to bring players through. Obviously, from my perspective at Man United, I solely focused on the youth side, and for a number of years, Man United have produced first team players without even a first team. Like, if you look at current players up in Scotland, I mean, Caitlin Hayes, Celtic, we had Anna Morehouse, number 1 at West Ham, she's now at Bordeaux. It has always been a culture within the men's. It's always been a culture from the girls that I've been since I've been there, and I can't see any reason why that wouldn't continue. Like you say, we're producing, or that Man United have produced players since the get-go, and they still are doing. I mean, you've got still in the first team now, Kirky, they're all over the shop, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So I can't see that philosophy ever.
No, that's what we're built on, isn't it? That's what we're built on.
It's what it stands for, like
yeah.
Ever since, I'm a bit younger than I look, but as long as I remember, it's always been about youth and energy coming through, and the people that love and play. That's the passion of Man United, and why it is where it is in the team itself, both in the women's and men's game.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, Nat, sorry, you just mentioned there about the energy. Is there any players that stand out for you at United, whether it be now or previously? Who kind of stands out for you?
Millie and Tooney, isn't it? I think they stand out as Man United through and through. Yeah. All about the badge, all about the passion, all about the love of this club. They want the club to do well. Yeah. We can get, like what Tom says, you can get everyone in. The way Man United have built it up. They're now fourth, they're now established, in my opinion, as like that top club. We're still fighting to get in that third and this and that. But, for me, they're established as that top club. So, but these two just sort of, and Kirky and Zellum and, Rambo as well. Rambo really stands out as someone who's United, but he's just that injection of the youth is just everything it's about.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Ella and Millie's personality, slightly different to your Kirsty Hansen. Now, we signed Kirky at 14, turning 15, and you knew from day one that she wasn't going to be, she wasn't going to be in front of cameras and stuff like that. And in fairness, the work Casey did with her off the pitch developed her unbelievably as a person. Yeah. But her energy is portrayed in a different way to, some of the characters. Kirky's energy in how she drives herself forward in her professionalism, it's outstanding. Like I say, you couldn't buy the energy Kirky has for her own commitment to self-development.
Nat, I don't know if I just cut you off by asking that question. Was there something that you wanted to say before?
No, that's what I wanted to know. Because, like you say, you want to see. I'm not saying that the other girl, but it just feels different, isn't it? When they come through, when they've been there since young, come through, and now I think we're going to be seeing it a lot more. They're going to be on that path a lot more because it's the first teams there, and but yeah, it's special just having, like you say, like Kirsty, Man United fan, because it's like I'm no good at football, but she's playing for me. She's playing like how I would play, and that's what you love.
Yeah,
as fans, anyway.
There's another name you've not mentioned, John.
Go on.
Tooney.
Oh, I was going to say, well, Natalie mentioned Tooney, so I was going to bring you in, but I didn't know if you wanted to talk about Tooney. You know you mentioned Tooney, Matt. But go on, this is your chance.
No, I was just going to say, because I don't think Tom will know, so I used to work with Tooney when she was younger.
Right.
Coach at tennis as well. So it was just interesting, because obviously she was RTC as well. And, you talked about different characters. And I think one thing I always said was when she was younger, she was quite shy. I mean, I don't know if you sort of found that. And now she's like really sort of found her confidence and sort of out there and doing really well. And I think it's shown in the development in the game as well over the last sort of, 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One thing I'd say about Tooney is she always had that cheeky side of her. Like, you could always tell there was a cheeky side of her locked up in there, but like you say, that focus on what she wants to do, and how she's going to get there. When she was younger, it were, like you say, a bit more tamed, wasn't it? Whereas now the confidence is there. She's believing in herself. She's putting her and her energy into her play, isn't she?
So one quick one, you did mention obviously how some of the players have got like more confidence, especially Kirsty Hansen. How much credit do you think that goes to the likes of Casey and some of the coaching staff?
Yeah, and I didn't work with Casey as close as you'd imagine, because it was the first year. Everything was quite chaotic on trying to get everything running, and the focus in her team was getting the first into the Super League. But the biggest thing she was still saying, to the point where I'd stepped away, and I still communicate with a lot of the staff that are at the RTC. It's very much not. It's very much, in the whole person, not only the player on the pitch. And like I say, the development of interviews and chatting online, it's mind-boggling to a certain extent.
I know Matt and Nat's got loads of questions for themselves, but just one more question from the United perspective. It's been a bit of an up and down summer for United. It looks like we've got through all the negatives now, and the fan base is getting a lot more positive in the last 3 to 4 weeks. Just kind of like, what are your thoughts going into next season? Then, what are your expectations? Then we've got a new manager, 5 players coming in at the moment, 7 players left. Just a big unstable. Well, I would say it was unstable for a time, but obviously now they all need to gel together quite quickly, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's like any when things change, there's always going to be questions in any sort of walk of life. Obviously, I don't know what's going on, but Casey was a very strong personality, and her identity was stamped all over that, and her beliefs. So it'll be interesting to see if Mark changed anything. A golden, not a golden gem, a little diamond there is Martin Ho. The guy's unbelievable. It's a good position for Man United in having Martin on side in the capacity is Nat touched upon me now being in a number 1 position. I'm probably 10 years now, and like you say, the fact that is not been snapped up by a big club as a number 1 is probably a bit of a hidden gem, really. I'd have massive faith in the people that are in charge. Like you say, whether it's on the pitch, the staffing, but United will always be ready for whatever gets put in front of them, and they won't have their arm forced, and they'll be ready for whatever element in front of them. And I'd be excited. It's like anything, like you say, there'll be fans that are gutted, but you've just got to see where Mark and the players he brings in and sort of stamp they put on things. Now it's like I say, it's a new period in time. We've just got to chase it for the platform that she built for Mark to now build on. Hopefully.
What would you say, top 4 next season?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one, really, because obviously I'm a bit biased toward him. But Villa have strengthened again. Like you say, there's the sort of the ins and the outs of the internationals. I think, like you say, with Press and Heath and a few of the Americans coming over just in the time of COVID, it sort of imbalanced the sort of playing field, didn't it, really? So I think the league in whole is going to be interesting next year. Like you say, even the fact that the fans are back in is going to change. Man United perspective at home, it's 12 man in it. So I cannot see whatsoever a reason why they wouldn't be going for top 4. But like I said, there's a lot of elements of change away from the club, at other clubs as well. I mean, like Arsenal changing manager. There's a lot of change at Spurs. It's going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely. Natalie, over to you, mate.
Yeah, just Tom. Obviously, when I first met you, I know we talked about it, but do you see now you're at FC, and obviously you're at the Championship? That's a league that's grown. FC in the 4th. That's a league that's growing. You're seeing Championship going full time. There's more opportunities now for young players, and I love youth football. It's sort of something that I've always, I always like to see, whether it's at Man United or different teams. We went to see England under 19s. There's a lot of good youth coming through. Even when I used to see the Sheffield youth, I used to love it. They've got a lot of young players coming through now as well.
Watson, and I think on Twitter watching a player.
So this is what I'm saying. We're seeing do you think it? Well, obviously it's a good thing. Now we're seeing, you know, it open up for young girls a lot more. You know, different leagues, like I said, Championship full time. The WSL Academy kind of is growing. I know that Leicester got a WSL Academy and a team in the, you know, National League, Reserve League.
Yeah.
More teams are putting money in and backing their women's team, and that's growing it's better for the you know, third and fourth tiers as well. What's your views on sort of the change that you've seen in youth football and development football?
The change is phenomenal. Honestly, when it was back in the day, when it was Centre of Excellence, we had a league. We had a North League of teams, and no disrespect to the Stokes and the Derby of the world, it basically us, Blackburn, Liverpool, and Everton challenging all that. And you know, you've got a midfield four of Natasha Flynn, Millie Turner, Katie Dellum, and Cara Field. You know, half the time they didn't need to get second gear. Do you know what I mean? Now you've got RTC to justify which league they're going to fulfill season, so that they're playing against the right abilities. The national travel's a lot greater now, and they open up the 14s and 15s more competitively. The 21s, like you say, I built the WSL Academy leagues. It's spot on, like the best 21s in the country that might even be playing first at the weekend or on the best. The opportunity of increased tenfold in the time that I'm involved in obviously in girls' game.
Matt, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I was just going to sort of link it in with Nats, because my question's sort of similar. I was just thinking, like, in terms of obviously FC and obviously other teams as well in that league in the third tier.
Yeah.
Would you say that when you're released from a WSL side, it might be beneficial to drop down the leagues to develop? So I'm thinking like maybe third and fourth tier. Because I think of Natasha Flint, and she went from like City, briefly Notts County, all the way down to sort of Fylde and Blackburn, and then now worked her way back up. Would you say that's maybe, you know, the best way to do it as a young player and get that game time every week?
I think it's very individual focused. I think it does depend on the player. So you use Tash as an example. Obviously, I work with Tash, and by far one of the best footballing talents I've worked with. Like, unbelievable what she can do with football. She's quick, she's strong, game intelligent, like a mindset. So what I know, obviously, back in the day with Tash, she wanted money. Like, college didn't work out for as much, and you know, there wasn't the money in the game back then. For whatever reason, it didn't work out at Man City, and for her at that moment in time, that was the right way. Like, go and earn a living, and you know, play football in the evenings. So individual focus, but I think the biggest difference now to a few years ago is that the standard of tier 3, tier 4 football is very high. Whereas, if I'm being brutally honest, I think 5 or 6 years ago it wasn't an option for these players that were coming out of RTC and WSL and Championship 21s teams. It wasn't an option. It wasn't competitive for them. Whereas now it is like I say, we've got such an influx of international talent. The fact that the whole Super League has been applied for a number of years. The Championship go through near club are all professional or on the ball. What you'd probably do semi-professional, like the probably training session away and the odd bit of facility that's missing them from being full time. Your tier 3, you've got, especially in the north, you've got Burnley who are pushing for, well, their plans are quite at the moment. So we could be having this chat in 4 years, and you've got the top 3 football are all professionals. So the opportunity for tier 3 and 4 is now in place because nationals come in. Some of the homegrown talent filtered down to professional. You'll have players that have got well-established careers away from the game, can't commit to that. So, people, players that are on SLT, secondary school, which is an outstanding career within itself, but they still want to play. So that they can play at championship level because of circumstance, as opposed to the fact that, they might be good enough to. So the option of playing coming out at 6-4 now is 100% an option. It's just, is it right for that person?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that sort of links into my next question, because that was going to be something about, you notice a lot of young players as well now going abroad to play. So I think of a couple of our development players have left this year and chosen to go to America. Do you think then with time, and obviously like you mentioned, sort of the third and fourth tier improving, that hopefully that will encourage players to stay here rather than say, go to America and get their degree paid for?
Yeah. You know what's the funny one, Matt? We've sort of gone full circle with players. So, obviously, when I used to do the exit route for the 17s at the time, America was probably the best option because they could get full-time play and education whilst they were out with scholarship, more or less, funded for them. Now we've got the WSL academy teams. It's keeping players up to that age. But then what you're finding is then they've got their education to the point they want it. They're used to full-time football and want to stay full-time capacity. But we haven't grown that gap in the first team. And, your 19, 20-year-olds that might not be ready, but, they've been in elite football for 12, 14 years and want to be playing first team.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line. To answer your question, I think we've sort of gone full circle on going to America because it was the best option, to then staying in England because the options were here. And now there's sort of a counterbalance with it all, which again, only time will tell sort of how it plays out. But I think as well, the RTC Academy are developing players so well. And like you say, not just as players. These girls, these women, out at 18, 19, and they're turning to first team gaffers and saying, "Look, I want to be playing." Well, we don't think you're quite ready yet, which is, it's on. They're next on the block at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
By then going round, this team is still got to move down south, or do I go to America and get a free education for 3 or 4 years and then back and ready for first team at league or championship level?
Yeah, and just sticking on the abroad thing, because it's debates that I'm seeing a lot on Twitter in terms of sort of, now with the whole Brexit rule as well. You're seeing sort of there is this more encouragement for young players, which I think is good. But it's like you say, it's the managers next on the block. They've got to decide. But I do know sort of probably when you were in Sheffield, Tom, they've sort of changed now the way that you can loan out development players to championship clubs, and that's going to be beneficial. And like you say, most championship now are full time, so it's only a matter of time before you see 2 full-time leagues. I think definitely.
100%. No,
do you think that sort of Brexit is going to not hinder it? Because obviously, you want to see talent in the league. You want it to be the best league in the world, and potentially there's like players like Honor who wouldn't be able to make it because of Brexit, but like she's an established, say, first team player. What's your views on sort of the way that it's being run, if you can say?
No, I don't have a clue. The one thing I do not have time for is politics, and I don't even know the rules of Brexit. Like, I just know when you're 2 destinations these days. Like, I don't have a clue now. But like you say, only time will tell. I mean, this is a very uneducated comment because, like I say, I don't even have a clue. But I presume working permits are just work the same as game. I can't really see. But this might be a naive comment. Like, I can't see football being affected by it. There's especially in the game, money involved. Like, do you think Boris got Messi going to? You know what I mean? So no,
I do know, Tom, that the rules are slightly different for the women's. So I don't know if that's gonna, but we'll have to wait and see, I suppose, isn't it?
You're beyond my knowledge.
We're 30 minutes in, so we'll talk about FC United. So what Matt and Nat, you go to grassroots and you watch our players out on loan, and so you go and watch a lot of teams away from United anyway. But what the channel's going to start doing is just like recording some of those moments, and you know, I'm going to be going to commentary with yourself, Matt and Nat. I'm sure you'll be there. I'm going to be going to Stourbridge, my local team. So we are going to be like going out and about when we can when United's not playing. But we're going to record them and just try and like publicise some of these lower league teams that really need and appreciate, some of the publicity just to help grow the game. So, I mean, Nat, do you want to start?
United? Obviously, I only watch Manchester United now, and I know it's since that put in the Championship, and I thought, it can grow. And obviously, I watched a bit of Sheffield, and I thought, they're all right, but I never watched below that. And when Tom says, I'm at FC, I thought, well, I like FC. I'm not one of these Man United fans, this and that. I'm not bothered about that. I thought, let me go and see it. It's local. It's down the road, 20 minutes. And I was really not surprised, but I was like, this is really good. I like it. It's the same. It's the same. The girls are fighting for it. They're running. They got the determination. They got the passion. And Tom says, this isn't even the best yet. So I thought, this isn't even the best. And they think you beat West Disbury. That's sort of my end as well. You really put it to them. So, and then the other game that I've seen you won as well. No, there's been like ups and downs, but it's pre-season. It's you get in there and it's good to see. And people who say, women's football, this and that. I mean, you're really showing them it doesn't matter. I think all levels of the game are great. And I'm someone who's just sort of come into it a couple of years ago, and I'm loving it all.
Yeah, there's a good energy down there. Hey, we're on the cusp of something big. I feel at FC. Everything's brand new. Obviously, it's going to be the season. They played quite a lot of fixtures in the past in the ground, but obviously criteria now with the league rules, so everything's fresh. There's some new players in. Obviously, I've brought staff with me. It's a little thing, but brand new kit. We're playing in the stadium. There's just such an energy about the place. And as you rightly said there, I've spent a bit of time on changing things on how they used to being done. Like I say, there's a mass core group playing FC that I argue, and I'm very honest with them, and they're fully aware that we say this in public, that they've been playing below their standard. And I've really got to push their mindset now. They used to just running teams over. So like I said, Burnley game, Brighouse game, if we went off results, it looks horrendous. But for what I'm asking the team to do, we're going to learn more in that capacity in them two games than we have. Trying to defend against them and, let's scrape a 1-0 or let's try and draw in a pre-season game. About that, like I say, we're going to take our game to the opposition. We're going to play exciting football. We're going to be on the front foot. And we're going to take this league by storm. Like, I wouldn't have bought into it. I didn't think we could get it to where it needs to be. And like I say, the footprint of the club and the people that are involved, they're unbelievable. Like, the amount of time they've given up to get the club where it is, both in the men's and women's game, it's refreshing. Do you know what I mean? It's the type of people and the type of people you want to be around, and invest your time in it as well. So there's a very clear and sort of approach at the club, and I've been really impressed with it. And
I think it's interesting. Sorry, can I just jump in on this, Nat? You're talking about sort of pre-season there, and even though you might not have got the result, which obviously, you're still getting across your style, it sort of reminds me of something Casey said, because we went out to Norway in our first pre-season in 2019, and the Norwegian team were, I think, halfway through the season and got beat 4-0. And there was some ratings by a Norwegian paper, like player ratings, and Casey laid into it, and she was saying, she doesn't know, fans don't know what objectives the manager has set the player for that game. It might be to learn to play out from the back and become comfortable on the ball. And that's where you get your learning. Like you say, although we didn't get the result, for whatever reason, the players got slated by the Norwegian press. But Casey was happy because, similar to like you were saying, the foundations are coming together of how you want to play, your objectives in that game. And, at the end of the day, it's pretty much just fitness, isn't it? And getting across your sort of your way of playing, and especially when you're new as well. But it's not something that, everybody sees from the outside if you've not sort of maybe got that in-depth football knowledge or that sort of inside knowledge.
You've listen, football built on opinion. You guys run a podcast on opinion. Listen, that's the beauty of the game, and if I use my time at Sheffield United as an example, you're only ever as good as your last game.
Yeah.
Like all people ever remember, and this is players, this is hierarchy above you. It's always what happened last Sunday. And that's the sport, and that's the beauty of it. That's the energy and the thing you've got to be dealing with. And I've spoke to you after each game, Matt, and I've been as honest with you as I would with the players. Like the priest for us, it's all about this day now, and then the first home game against Newcastle. That's all I'm literally bothered about.
Yeah, building up to
100%. If we're getting beat 6-0 2 games, then got a problem.
But I don't know. Like what you just said there, Tom. Football's all about opinions, and I think, you're only as good. But that's what I love about it. That's what I love that I'm seeing a bit more in the women's game. You're seeing different fans discussing different things. You're seeing, we go out to FC and we'll say this and this, and we'll have that discussion with you, and that's why I'd sort of encourage everyone to sort of go and watch your women's team. And if you can get to FC, come along, because that's where I'll be. You guys are just 20 minutes for me. So, obviously I'm going to go down and see it. But then, obviously, if it's maybe not the best, I will say it to you, Tom. And, that's that's what it's about. And this one, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. But, as fans, you'll always hear me saying, come on, run it. That wasn't, come on, girl, try again, do it again. Do better, and you'll always, that, I suppose, when the fans are in, it's better for the girls, isn't it? And whatever they're shouting, you just want that encouragement. It's about giving the encouragement, but then not sort of blinding them like it was all great. No, it wasn't all great, and I suppose that's it.
Got to be constructive, hasn't it? That's like, it's like any walk of life. Listen, you can turn up to work every day and make a mistake. You don't mean to make a mistake, do you? It's do it. And that's what I'm trying to invest into these players. Listen, I coach players for the next 10, 20, 30 years, but once you put that line, you're seeing a different picture than you've ever seen in training. It's different opposition, it's different, physical 1v1 in that moment in time. You've got to believe in your decision. All I want you to reflect on it and react properly. Don't react, go and win the ball back, and we go. So we get there. No, it's good.
It's good.
Matt, I just want to ask you a question. So obviously you've got to a lot of lower tier games as well. What is it that excites you to keep on going back to FC United?
I think for me, obviously, I link back to when Nat first took me. I think it was the WEM pre-season fixture.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I mean, I've done every single game since then. I think just going down and sort of, it's like, it's similar to what we had at Man United, like that family sort of atmosphere and vibe. You go down and, like Tom said before, he's made time for me after every single game. And sort of higher up, that's not always the case. And I think for me, just the whole thing, you know, you can go down, it's enjoyable, you know, like Tom said, it's new facilities, it's not far. And I think just for me, I started off my, obviously, women's football journey in the 3rd tier, watching Toonie at Blackburn. So, you know, I kind of got used to, you know, that level. And it's always good to just go back, like, sort of, you know, 4 or 5 years down the line and see how things have progressed and changed. And I think, you know, similar to that, it's about 25 minutes for me, so it's not far. It's just, you know, it's nice to go around sort of the local clubs. And like you said, John, you know, look to maybe take a few pictures and, you know, do a few videos and things like that and just offer thoughts from, like, our side. But, yeah, I think, like I say, you know, the way football is played as well, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Tom will probably know more about this than me, but obviously I didn't see them last season, so I don't know if that style of play was, like, you know, similar to yours in playing out from the back. But I think we've talked about this before in previous podcasts where, you know, sometimes people go for the style of play, sometimes people just go for the result, and it's kind of like that balance. So I think for me it was good, you know, it's you know, like a playing out from the back style, and it looks good on the eye, and it's interesting actually because the way you set up, Tom, is actually similar to I put out a Man United team for how I'd set up for the start of the season. Funnily enough, it was identical, and I just think, you know, it was something where you can see how everybody works and how the little sort of partnerships form. I just it makes it enjoyable, and I think, you know, it's how, for me anyway, in my opinion, that football should be played. You know, if you can play some attractive football, play it out from the back, you know, you see you've got so many players at FC that are, you know, confident on the ball and they look to make things happen, and, you know, certain players there that do jobs and they do it so well, and it's good to watch. And I'm sure, you know, I've noticed every week since that first game I went, there's more and more people now sort of at the side of that AstroTurf going to watch, and it's only getting better, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and it's going to grow within time. Well, like you say, for us, I mean, I'm probably going a little bit off subject, but Saturdays are massive for us because we've got the men on and straight after us, and for me, it's an opportunity for us to showcase what we can do, and, you know, trying to talk to them fans as well, because there's no reason why we can't support both sides of the FC first team.
Just following on from like what Matt and Nat does at FC United by taking those videos and those pictures, I'm just wondering, like, maybe like what you and some of the players think about some of the publicity that social media is now bringing to women's football. Obviously, we do podcasts every night regarding Man United and other teams as well, but mainly Man United. But what are you thinking regarding like your club, for example, now getting like a bit of promotion, and what does everybody kind of think about the way social media is now going?
Well, it's like you say, it depends who's using the social media, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think in our growth and the publicity of women's football, I think and any, like you say, actual visuals of footage and stuff is only going to grow the game. And like I say, people need to respect people like yourselves, because at the end of the day, you've been pioneers of promoting the game off the pitch, and I think people need to invest in that and embrace it. Let's say, if Matt said to me, "Look, I'm going to keep coming down, promoting it from your perspective," one last job I've got to do as well, innit? So now we're both winners, but like I say, I'm an advocate of it. Obviously, if it's done constructively, and like you say, it doesn't always be positive. There can be a bit of negativity. At the end of the day, that's people's opinions, but you've got to be constructive with it and sort of fair with it at the same time. Like, you know, when you sort of you see things at times where it gets a bit too far, do you know what I mean? Or sometimes you're like, right, you've said your bit now, leave it there. But like I say, it's individuals again in it, really. It's in every walk of life.
It's those people who've got an agenda, and it doesn't matter how good someone's played, the one thing that they do wrong, they'll just jump on that. And that's what kind of spoils it for the kind of channels. They don't step back and look at the bigger picture. They just got their own opinion. They don't want to be proved wrong, and they've just got to keep on and on and on about that one specific player or something. And that's what kind of ruins it, I think.
it's like if social media and sort of the men, I slightly different view because I don't think it is just escalated pub chatting and like say just stupidity half the time. If they want a player out the club, you know, they've targeted someone from an opposition. It's pointless half the time, but there's a massive rate in the women's game, and I think people need to embrace it and keep pushing it forward.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying there, Tom. I think there's, you know, I think even if we look back at when United first came in, I think, you know, myself, I can say this, I'm mad for rivalry. I love it. I love the passion between fans and all that kind of thing. And I love the energy and, you know, and I'm sure you remember when coming down to Sheffield and like, Wardy, it's a big one. You know, we need the fans up. We need to G it up. And even going to Sheffield recently, people have said, I remember you at Chesterfield and you were getting the crowd going. And that's what it's all about. And, you know, in a way, you know, when it's a big game like that, you don't want it. You want your fans to sort of get behind you, but you don't want it to be easy for the opposition. You want there to be that kind of, I don't know, that fire, that energy, that passion from the crowd who are just.
Yeah, you want.
Go on, say it again. Sorry.
The energy and the atmosphere. I mean, at times it's going to be a bit hostile. That's what home ground should be.
Yeah.
If it's fair and you know it's appropriate, there's no issue with hostility, is there? Like, it's because you're doing it for the energy and the atmosphere of it. I endorse it, to be honest.
Yeah.
We had a shaft, didn't we? And hopefully you can bring your energy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm looking forward to it. And you know, I remember that when you played Disbury, they had flares and flags, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And you know, they brought a little bit of hostility, and that was good, and I loved it. And you know, you guys are playing good football. I know I'm going to go back to FC now, and you know, you've sort of laid your cards on the table there. You're pushing for promotion. Are you you know, where do you see it going this season? I know you said pushing, but you know, is there any players? I know Matt does his videos. Who do you think, you know, if someone's never watched FC and thinking, I want to come, what would you say to them?
I think we've got a well balanced squad, like you say. We've got a number of individuals that can game on its head and go and win a game for us. But what we're trying to build is the fact that a consistent performance from everyone within the team is going to get us closer to a win than, you know, us relying on the odd super goal. I mean, Matt, you tell these two about Kirsty Chambers' hat-trick at the weekend. Jeez.
Yeah. Do you know what? I remember the first time I saw her, I think that was the Wen game, and she scored something ridiculous, like a 25-30 yarder. And I remember thinking of Leah Galton. I don't like comparing players, but I just think, you know, quality left foot, shot of a heck of a shot, you know, of the left foot. And that free kick as well, I had that on video yesterday.
Yeah.
For anyone that's not seen it, that was on Twitter as well. But yeah, there's a few, like you say, sort of, you know, that can really go and win you a game when needed.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Nat, it's very much my team's target to go and challenge for promotion. Like I say, I might be being a bit overconfident and a bit naive, but if I'm not confident about what we can achieve, then there's no point as even going.
I just want to ask Matt and Nat a couple of questions as well. Just on like some of the matches that you've seen. I mean, what kind of players have been standing out for you?
Go on, Nat, make a start.
Well, you don't mind me going first because I've not been for a while, so sorry. But like Kirsty, stand out. I think when I saw her the first game at, you know, Disbury and Charlton, West Disbury and Charlton, stood out for me. Quality player, running them, and then the next game scoring goals, and then like what Matt says, that free kick. I think it was that she scored at the weekend. Quality player, and I know she's the captain, and it's that experience. She's been there at FC a long time. It's what you need, and that's what adds the well-roundedness. There's a lot of young players in there as well. Yeah. Young player that I know, Holly Davenport, love her off. She will definitely come good. I'm excited. I mean, I think when me and Matt went, she came on and we just said, run, run, run. And she just run at them and bang, goal. And that's the thing about Holly, you know, put that confidence in her. She's a great player.
She had the strongest performance today. Nah, well, she was unplayable at times, wasn't she, Matt? I felt sorry for the left back.
Do you know what I like about her, though? I noticed this yesterday, and Gareth, who was with me yesterday, he's been to, I think, 1 or 2 before as well. We said, you know, every ball that Holly puts in the box is a quality ball. There's never a time when I thought that was a bad cross. Yeah. It's like, you know, every single time. And obviously sometimes there might not be somebody on the end of it, but 9 times out of 10, you know that cross is going to get to that player. And I think that's, yeah, like you're saying that, you know, you obviously know Holly better than me from, like, watching her. But there's so many in that team. I think there's a good balance between, like, ones that have been there a while and sort of the leaders, and then ones that are up and coming. Because I know you pointed out a couple to us, didn't you, Tom? Was it Ellie Rigby you mentioned? Yeah. You know, again, very, very good player. Yesterday, again.
The mini-me.
Yeah, quality. Corey Mather at fullback, you know, and gets something down as well. Again, trying to think who else. Obviously, we mentioned Kirsty as well, but I think the whole team for me, you know, like you said, Tom, it's about, you know, getting that balance and getting everybody working rather than just an individual. And I think you can, after a few games, you can definitely see that sort of cohesion and sort of everything coming together as you'd expect, you know, within pre-season as the weeks go on. And I think for me, you know, it's good. And obviously, I think back to Kaylee Cunliffe, she was somebody I'd seen at Blackburn as well. Eve Kennelly, again, somebody I'd seen actually at Everton. So talking a while back now. But yeah, so many, you know, sort of wrap up on your question, John, you know, as a general, you know, I don't like picking out players, but I've given you a few names there. So, but overall, you know, it looks good and it's coming together nicely. So just about getting excited now for that Newcastle game, which I'll let Tom lead into on the 15th. And obviously, the big one, Nat, we're talking about derbies. Leeds are in the league, and I think Liverpool Reds are as well.
Yeah. So, Leeds.
Big ones.
Bradford, Newcastle United, Leeds
United. Oh,
and then you North East trips. There's Durham's. I don't know how public it is, but it is there. There's Chester Listry, who were in pole position when COVID finished it. And Stockton up in the northeast as well. So it's a very strong competitive league, and there's teams that have challenged for the title for a good number of years, but we're here to ruin the park.
I think that's it. Shaking it up. Let's get some fans there. Let's make the atmosphere, and you know, maybe some of these players haven't been used to a little Barmy Army, but let's let them know.
Big time. I've been well informed. In fairness, there's a decent FC women's following as well. So if we get paired up, we're definitely going to be the loudest in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
I know Matt's looking forward to Newcastle because obviously he's mentioned it to me previously. But obviously, how excited for you, for that game, Tom?
Oh, I can't wait. Honestly, the only thing that's stopping my excitement a little bit for the Newcastle game is this Saturday because of the double. Honestly, but I can't see my life past Saturday at the moment. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Can't wait to get Broadhurst and feel the energy of what the stadium's about and the fans and I remember years ago I lived in Rochdale, so I went Rochdale v FC men many moons ago up, and they had about 7 FC fans, Dale fans, and I just can't wait to be part of that and out in front of it and like you say, hopefully putting a big stamp on from a women's perspective.
I think for me as well, you're talking about the Saturday game. I think that'd be great to build into the Newcastle one the week after, because like you said, you know, with it being back to back with the men's, that you can sort of capture those fans there and get them interested. Like you said earlier, you know, there's no reason why they can't do the men on a Saturday, the women on the Sunday. And I think it's great that they've got sort of, you know, both teams there the same day. then lead into that season opener. Because it's like I said to you when I messaged you, you know, it's just good to be back from a fan's point of view, to be able to turn up to games. And something I was thinking about before, even in terms of pre-season, because I know there's a lot of WSL and Championship clubs playing behind closed doors, but whereas we've been fortunate, you know, to come down to FC, and obviously Natalie's, you know, been to other clubs as well, and John mentioned he was looking at his local ones. I think it just builds to the excitement as well, doesn't it? That,
definitely. It's like you say, it's a bit of a warm up. It's a bit of pre-season for you guys because USL and the Championship start a bit later. I mean, the good thing about Saturday is that I told you, Matt, but it's actually for a cup. It's all organised by the USA. First sort of fans-led trophy in the women's capacity. Obviously, the men played in the Brian Lomax the other week against Enfield 1. So again, it's another moment in history, so to speak. By the National Museum of Football as well. So, yeah, Saturday is a massive thing. Like you say, John, in the back of your mind, you've still got Newcastle as well, but it's sort of the perfect lead up because it's the competitive fixture, the one-off. It's the win. It's a good opportunity to showcase what we have done in the short period of time. We've been involved, i.e., me and the new players, and like I say, it's channeling all that energy and that excitement to them 2 minutes, and then building from there. Hopefully, we've got 3 points and a trophy.
Have you got much preparation left for that Newcastle game? Do you think you're pretty much there now?
Well, it's the old balance of women's football, isn't it? We've got a few people working here, there, everywhere, and we've picked up a few injuries. But we're hoping to have 2 of them back early next week. Like I don't want to say online just to get the clap on, but we're missing a few Saturday, but hopefully we'll be ready for Newcastle. Preparation wise, we're very happy where we're at in regards to knowing how we want to play and what we expect from them.
What would you say to fans who like live local or women's football fans who maybe haven't gone to FC United, just to kind of encourage them to come down, just because obviously if they come once and the chances are that they'll keep coming back, I'm sure they'll enjoy themselves just like Matt and Nat does. What would you kind of just like say, just to kind of just like go to try and come down, just give it a go like once, just to give it a go?
If you come and watch my team play, there's going to be excitement, there's going to be energy, and there's going to be intensity. We don't leave anything on the pitch. We're quite open, which is why we can see quite a few goals now and then, but I'd rather be open, get the way we want to play, and then fix it, obviously, when it counts. But without a doubt, if you're only going to turn up once, I promise you there'll be intensity on and off the ball.
I think that's... Go on,
yeah, as a person who only started off watching Man United women's football team and then started going to watch other, just sporadically, just turned up once to Sheffield game, and now I turn up once to a lot of games. So, you know, definitely FC is one that I'm going to turn up to again during the season. Saturday, Newcastle game. Those are, you know, these are then obviously during the season, Leeds is one that I'll definitely have my eye on. Whether that's home or away. But no, you know, that's what it is. That's the great thing about women's football. You know, it's there, it's accessible, it's seeing players with passion who would do anything for the badge. And sometimes you don't get as much of that in the men's game, or, you know, I've noticed it's sort of not boring, but if you just watch your one team, especially in the women's game, there's not a lot of games. So that's why go and see Tom's team, go and see other teams if you know FC aren't local to you. And you'll have a good time, and you know, meet new friends, meet new people, and the players are lovely, and Tom's lovely. So you know, if you're there and you want to chat to them after, I'm sure they'll give you time as well.
Unless we've lost.
yeah.
No, I'm only joking. I'll save my whole side for when I get home. Scream at my steering wheel all the way home.
I think that's a great way to end the show. Tom, I hope you've enjoyed it. We really have. We're going to watch it back right away. That's usually what I do because I miss half of it just by listening to like all of it. It's hard to take it all in and think about some questions going forward as well. But Tom, if someone wants to find you on the social media account, how can they go about doing that?
Oh, I don't even know what my handle is. The one I used to now. It's I think at Coach Tom Fitton. And obviously give the FC United of Manchester women a follow. We've got a big push on social. One of our priorities off the field. So yeah, get following us and try and pick up on the energy that we're building.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll put all the tags and everything when we upload the video. So we'll be retweeting everything so everyone can find them accounts quite easily. Matt, Nat, thanks, brilliant show. Really glad that you organised it. Thank you very much.
Buzzing. Cheers, guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely.
Big time. I'll go and get some chips so I'm ready for it.